Yeah, thank you. So today's workshop is primarily about copyrights, particularly in Indian context. What is copyrights? What are copyrights, and how they operate, how they work, and who gets a copyright ownership, and how can they utilize the copyrights ownership, etc. is one phase of it. And then there are licenses which allow us to share some of these rights, and particularly Creative Commons licenses allow us to share our work in various other ways that generally, like if we keep the bundle of rights, that is copyrights, with us, we cannot do a lot of things. But Creative Commons licenses allow us to share the copyrights in various other forms. So we will speak about Creative Commons licenses, and particularly what are open licenses that will allow us to share our content, particularly which is more knowledge, which has more potential to become a knowledge source for the world. So yeah, that's the premise of today's call, uh, today's workshop. And we will also, at the end of the workshop, we will also get into specifics about how copyrights work in real time, actually. So I'm just sharing my screen to start the presentation. So is my presentation is visible to everyone, right? Okay. Uh, I'm hoping that my presentation is visible to everyone. Please.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much. So this is the first workshop in Bhasa series, as I already told, and this is called like Understanding Indian Copyright Law and Open Licensing. So as I mentioned already, so what are copyrights and general principles of copyrights? What is Indian copyrights law? The role of Creative Commons licenses and free licenses. Why is freely licensed content important for Indic languages and cultures? Are the primary aspects that we will be discussing today. Um, so, how many of you, um, many of you would have already had to this thing called copyrights many a times, right? So whenever we hear about a lot of content, like writers do use this word many a times, and publishers use this term a lot of times. And even if you are not writers or publishers, you would generally hear this term called copyrights. Like we read a lot of content which says that there was a high profile copyrights case filed on some cinema producer, or else like there was a copyrights misuse, a lot of such things, right? But often we don't get to specifics about what are copyrights and how copyrights actually works. So primarily, copyrights are like the idea of copyrights originated to protect and encourage to create creative work and expression. Primarily, the idea is that if the rights to distribute and share your own content is with you, you can, like that would encourage you to create more content, because like um, you can use that to get money, and you can use that to share it the way that you wanted to share with external world. So that's the primary idea. So it is to encourage and protect your rights as a creator primarily. So, and everywhere in the world in general, copyrights are creators exclusive rights. So uh, these rights belongs to primarily creators in general. And it's not always. At some points, at some times, it doesn't, like copyrights automatically doesn't how to put it, like copyright belongs to some other entity than creators. We will get to that little later. And it is almost like a property right. For example, if you have a property like on your name, if you own a house, if you own a car, if you own something, you will have exclusive rights to allow people into that property, not allow people into that property. Or else, like for example, if you own a house, um, you can generally like dwell in the house, like you can live in the house, you can use the house, and also you can lease the house, or you can rent the house and make money out of that. And also like you can do n number of things with that house, right? At the same point of time, law also allows you to exclude the house from people you don't want to get into your house. Law also allows you to put a gate and stop people, bystanders, or else whoever just randomly pass in the road to get into your house. If they if they break that rule and get into your house without your permission, without your like explicit or implicit um, acceptance, then it is called trespassing, right? Like how this is how a house works. Almost this is how a copyrights also works. But there is a particular catch to copyrights. Copyrights last for a limited time. It is a long enough time for creator to make use of his rights, exclusive rights on his content, and make money out of it, or else utilize it the way that they wanted to utilize. But there is an expiry date. After a certain date, copyrights do expire. It it is generally like it varies from country to country. In India it is something, so we'll get to specifics of what it is in India, how long we can enjoy a copyright, using a copyright in India. But in other countries like United States, for example, as far as I get to know, like it's 90 years from the date of publication. And there are also other ways that like this can be extended. In United States, that's like a very very how to put it, like a long time permitted across the world. But in some countries it is like 70 years, it's in some countries it is like 60 years, in some countries it is tied to the death of author or death of creator. So there are various clauses to it. Excuse me, someone unmute. Please mute yourself. Yeah. So that's about like how long it lasts. And then the next point is that it has exceptions. Copyrights do have exceptions. For example, like I'll go by the example of like a house. So there is a trespassing clause, like you can prosecute people who enter your home without your permission, without your acceptance. But there are exceptions, right? Like if there is a law enforcement agency, like some police takes a warrant and search warrant in a right process and comes to your home, you cannot stop the person from entering the home and searching for whatever that is required. So there are such kind of exceptions, right? Like similarly, for copyrights also there are some kind of exceptions. So across the world these exceptions are primarily called as like fair use. So if you are a YouTuber, you generally listen to this term called fair use a lot of times. A lot of YouTubers operate under fair use. They cut some clips from copyrighted clips and they use in their content, and then they put up a notice which says that like this is for educational purpose, this is for not so commercial purpose, etc. And hope that that um, that will stop uh, the copyright owner from sending them a copyright strike, or else YouTube guarding them from a copyright strike, etc. So generally that term is called fair use. So in India it is called fair dealing. We will come to these things little later. So, and final thing is, it can be shared, copyrights can be shared or licensed. So like, you share your home with people whom you wanted to share with, right? So for example, I can give one of my rooms in my home in Airbnb. I can put it up in Airbnb, and people can enter that room for a stipulated time based on uh, the contract that happens between me and the person through Airbnb. If that person pays certain amount, uh, so I am obliged to uh, uh, share my room with the person. And also, like, we rent portions of house, right? Like, we can rent entirety of our house, or else we can rent portion of our house. At some point of time, we might also rent entire home except one room, and we'll say that, like, that room I'll keep all my luggage or else some of the items that I want to keep, and I'll lock it for myself. Similarly, we can license copyright in a way that, like, some of the rights you are foregoing, you might leave some of the rights on your content, but you are keeping some of the rights to yourself. So what are these rights in general? So these rights are like this: right to share the content, right to reproduce the content, right to create derivative works out of the content, and right to get attributed to the content. So, right, in general, these are the major things that copyrights give you. Right to share the content. So if I create a PDF out of someone's work and share it across the social media platforms, that's crime, because, like, that's copyrighted and I cannot do it. Why? Right to share is not with me, it's with creator. If creator allows me to share, I can share. That's one right. And another right that I am speaking about is to right to reproduce. Right to reproduce is like that I can print it. I can print a book, like produce it again, printing a book or else editing it in a certain way and reprinting it or republishing it, etc., etc. So with various artistic works, this varies. If it is a, for example, if it is a painting, um, creating another paint, like a replica of that painting, or else if it is some music, reproducing would be something like doing some from a CD format to another format and publishing it on social media, etc. So, and the other right that we also need to be looking into is that, like, right to create derivative works out of it. For example, Shakespeare is out of copyright, right? So there are tons of derivative works across the world that come out of Shakespeare's body of work. No one can stop that because it is not protected under copyrights. But for example, if I had to somehow derive, like, create a novel out of, or else a spin out of something like Game of Thrones, or uh, or a more popular Indian music. So, for example, if I had to create a derivative work out of Ilayaraja, definitely I will run into problems if I am not taking proper permissions, because, like, creating a derivative work of out of something, doing some remix, or else taking a character out of a story and building a whole world out of it, all these things. For example, if I need to create a Bahubali world, then I had to take permissions from producer, because, like, this is protected under uh, copyrights law. And finally, attribution. This is very, very important. Every creator generally wants them to be attributed. It's a kind of moral right and also a legal right. Creators generally tend to create work because like their like, name shines forever. So right to get attributed in the way that they want to get attributed is also important. For example, pen name is O Henry, and if the person wants to be attributed in the name O Henry, you should attribute it in the name O Henry and not in the uh, Sydney Carter or something like. I don't remember O Henry's original name, but sorry, but the other name, it should not be in the other name. So attribution is also one of the major uh, aspects of copyrights law. So this is primarily about general principles of copyrights. We are not discussing specifics here. So then let us come to specifics, which is very important for our context. So what is copyright in Indian context? Um, so copyright according to Indian context looks like this. So in 1957, first ever copyright act, like Copyright Act that we are now referring to, was passed in 1957, and it was majorly amended in 2012. In 2012, creators got more rights, primarily in 2012, particularly in cases of musical and also cinematographic works. Let us go step by step. According to Indian copyright law, um, these are all things that can be copyrighted: photographs, cinematographic works, sound recordings, government works, and a lot of works like this. Like it can be a book, it can be music, it can be a piece of music, it can be a cinematographic content, which means like a recorded video. It can be a painting, can be a wall painting, or else can be any other kind of painting. All paintings are also protected under copyright laws. And also it can be, to an extent, sculpture. So all this is um, protected under copyright laws in India. So who gets copyright in India? That's a major thing. um, so yeah, I would just like to stop sharing here and also directly interact with people. So who gets copyright in India, according to you? So can someone, uh, would someone want to respond? The creator, right? Yeah, so primarily it is the creator who gets copyright in India. So creator, um, generally, like, who is the creator in the case of a book? Their families after their death. It will be decided between sponsor, sponsor house or creator. Yeah, thanks Lakshmi for bringing this important point. There is also a thing called, uh, there is an assumption primarily that like whoever sponsors the work, publisher as well, yeah, someone who finances, gets copyright is also a thing that is there in like air. People believe that publisher or else a sponsor will also automatically get some sort of copyright to the content. um, so yeah, I would like to clarify this point. Primarily, according to Indian copyright laws, for a literary work and for many kinds of work, like for painting, for literary work, and many artistic forms, creator is the copyright owner, um, and creator gets the copyright automatically in general. So, but there are some clauses to it. Creator, if not directly employed by a publishing house, employed is a different thing than commissioning. If the creator is writer is not employed by a publishing house, then writer will get copyright uh, directly. That's how law says, particularly for literary works, photographs, paintings, and many such artistic forms. So I just want to repeat this point. If a creator is generally a freelancer. For example, let us assume a creator is a freelancer. Either he gets sponsorship or not is a different story, or else like if he gets some kind of payment or not is a different story. But even if he gets sponsorship, even if he gets some kind of payment from a private publishing house or some other kind of organization, private organizations, generally writer is to be the first uh, copyrights owner. This is what law says. And there is a catch here. If writer is employed in an organization for writing the content, like let us assume I'm a journalist and I'm employed in a newspaper as a journalist to write newspaper articles. Publisher will get primary uh, copyright ownership, uh, because like I was employed to do this job. Employment is different than a contract. A regular, if you are if it is not a freelance or if it is not a regular contract, primary copyright is with the um author. If it is an employment, then it is with publisher. So, but if the institution publishes books other than an employer, then there is something called a contract. In the contract, it should be explicitly written that like they are commissioning this work, and copyright primarily belongs to the institution. Original copyright owner is again Pavan Santosh, and there is an institution which commissions the work, and also like an institution is commissioning this work, and through a contract, in that contract I should forego my copyrights to organization. I should explicitly write that I am giving up my copyright and I'm assigning entire copyrights forever for this publisher. If at all we write in certain way, then only copyright belongs to publishers, or else copyright is with author primarily. So that's how it works. And then there are multiple clauses. A lot of times writer assigns copyrights for a certain period of time to an organization, or else photographer assigns copyrights with some clauses to an organization. So that's how it works in general. So for example, if I am a writer and there is an organization called Gyan Bulb, and if that organization is paying me for producing a work, and generally the clauses look like for next 5 years, organization will be able to reprint the works multiple times, but with a catch. And for that, organization pays certain amount to the author. So that's how primarily copyright ownership works in Indian context. So I I'm just going to the next aspect of this one. So again, another question: how someone will get a copyright? What is the procedure for getting a copyright? So what do you think someone needs to do to get a copyright, in particularly in India? So you can unmute yourself and also speak if you want to. So to register their work, right? Gajendra, please. Yeah.
असल में कॉपीराइट का इनका अपना वो है पोर्टल बोले क्या बोले, हाँ उसमें जाके आप रजिस्टर करते हैं, अपना नाम को रजिस्टर करते, अपना मेल आईडी रजिस्टर करते हैं, अपना पासवर्ड लेते हैं, उसमें जाके फिर ई फाइलिंग करना हो तो ई फाइलिंग करेंगे, और ई फाइलिंग करने के बाद में आपको सारा एक फॉर्मेट आता है, तो उस फॉर्मेट को भरेंगे, पेमेंट करेंगे अपना वर्क को, और उसके बाद आपके एक डायरी मतलब आपके एक डायरी नंबर आता है, उसको आप फॉलो करेंगे कि उसके बाद डायरी नंबर के आधार पे और ये जो आपने पेमेंट किया उसको देंगे, अपने वर्क कॉपी टू कॉपी में भेजेंगे कॉपीराइट ऑफिस को, जो दिल्ली में है। एंड हाँ उसके बाद में जब ये पहुंचेगा तब वो उसको देखते हैं, उसके बाद आपका कॉपीराइट वो हो जाता है, आपका कॉपीराइट का सर्टिफिकेट मिल जाता है।
Thank you. This is a process to register copyright, and like a lot of people believe this is the process. Like, uh, can anyone want to? Would anyone want to express their opinion? Is there any other opinion in the room?
I think I said that we don't need to do anything because it's implied in the act of creation.
Right. Not in the act of creation, but in the act of publication. So what Gajendra ji said, like Shraddha ji, yeah, please.
So I'm not sure, but currently what we are doing right now is that the resources which we create, we are marking it under Creative Commons. So we just add a logo over there, or we add a line that this resource is um, produced by XYZ and it is licensed under Creative Commons. For example, CC by NCND 4.0 international license. So this is what we're doing, but we're not registering or anything anywhere.
Right. So what Gajendra Singh ji said has a value, but I'll come to it little later. But primarily in India, according to Indian Copyright Act, you don't need to do anything except publishing it in a public platform. Any public platform. Public platform doesn't mean that everyone should have access, but it should have access to general public. If you are publishing it in a newspaper, if you are publishing it in a website, if you are publishing it in even in social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, whatever it might be, by the minute you publish the work, not for a very close group of people, like if it is just for 4 to 5 people, you cannot say like I sent an email in 2012 and I get my copyright on my work. But if it is like a mailing list with 100 people, 200 people, then by the minute you do it, it is considered as a publication. And by the minute you do a publication, you are automatically getting assigned of your copyrights, because it is like it is very implied one, as Sony mentioned, and also as Shraddha suggested. By the minute that you create the content, you are being a creator. By the minute you publish the content, you get the copyrights to secure your content. But what Gajendra ji said makes sense with content which is commercially has a lot of potential. For example, if someone is producing a major work which is going to earn a lot of money, um, it is a good idea to register your copyright, because like if you run into some kind of legal battles tomorrow, it is easy for you to show that like I am the copyright owner of this work. But there are other ways for you to show that you are copyright owner of the work. So you just need to show that where did you publish, in what format did you publish, how did you publish to the court, and court eventually considers that you are the copyright owner. But if you register it, that is a easy way for you to get copyright, particularly in terms of, for example, if you are making a film is a big deal. You need to get it registered, like you need to somehow get the copyrights. If your work is getting too popular, and there are many people who are just ripping it off, then registering a copyright would be an easy way for you to tomorrow fight your legal battles. But for a lot of our works, it doesn't apply. You don't need to register anything to get your copyrights. Registration of copyrights is an act to show the world that like you are the owner, but you are already the owner actually. So um, we don't need to do anything except publishing the work. So that's what Indian copyright law says. And the next point that I also wanted to speak about is that, yeah, so as we started discussing various creative works will have different kinds of automatic authorship or else automatic copyright ownership. Let us quickly speak about it. Primarily, if it is an anonymous work or photograph or cinematographic work, if it is a book, literary work, or else if it is a photograph, if it is a painting, or else if it is a sculpture, creator will be primarily getting the copyright. Creator will be copyright owner. But if it is a cinematographic work, which means if it is a cinema, then producer will get primary copyright ownership, and then there are particular implications to it. In 2012, Indian Copyright Act had some changes where it also started asserting rights of individual creators. This is also true for musical works. If it is an audio recording, like a song recording, etc., until 2012, producer is the sole copyright owner. Um, it's a bundle of it's a bundle of works. One, it is a literary work created by a lyricist. Second, it is a musical work created by a musician or else a composer. And third, it's also like rendered through a voice, etc. But primarily, producer will get the rights until 2012. But after 2012, Indian Copyright Act also started acknowledging the nuances of a lot of creative labor that music directors, singers, not singers, like music directors and writers put in. And so it started acknowledging that some sort of royalty should go to these two people for their life. That's a different conversation altogether. But primarily, producer is the copyright owner for these two works. So this is about these works. But if it is a newspaper and if it is employing a lot of journalists, everything that journalists write will be and gets published in the newspaper will be primarily copyright primarily under the copyright ownership of a newspaper. So then nuance is that if newspaper is not employing a person, for example, let us say Ram Guha is writing a piece to the Hindu. Ramchandra Guha is not an employee of the Hindu. It's not. It's like a mutual contract, or else at many a times there won't be even a contract. Ramchandra Guha sends a news item, and the Hindu publishes the item. Primary copyright owner is author. It's not publisher. Many a times it happens that authors go to newspapers and ask for permissions, and newspapers start asking a very difficult questions, assuming that they are the copyright owners of the work. And then they start saying that you should mention this way, you should mention that way, send us a copy, we will verify it, change it, etc., etc. But primarily, newspapers or else magazines doesn't have such a kind of right until unless you explicitly written somewhere and send it to them electronically or else physically that you are foregoing your copyrights, or else you are giving part of your copyrights to newspaper. If you don't have certain kind of agreement between these two entities, primary copyright rests with author in general. So it also depends upon, like, at some point of time you check some box and publish. There you might be giving some rights to the publisher, but if nothing as such is happening, if you're sending a newspaper an email and you are not getting anything, like you are not being employed and you are not getting a monthly salary, then consider you are the copyright owner of that work. So that's one thing that I want to also particularly speak about. So now comes to another point. Duration of copyrights. Duration of copyrights in Indian context, primarily for a lot of a lot of works, is author life plus 60. What does that mean? Creator's life plus 60, which means if an author passed away in 2020, you should consider plus 60 years from 2020. It is like 2080, not 2080, it is like 2081 January. 60 years should complete, and next calendar year, first day of next calendar year, works enter into something called public domain. For example, who owns copyrights of Gandhi in India? No one. There are some legal disputes around this, but according to law, no one owns Gandhi's copyright. Who owns Ambedkar's copyright? Ambedkar's copyright, no one owns now, because like Ambedkar passed away 60 years before. Nehru's copyright, no one owns Nehru's copyright. Patel, all major Indian figures who died before 19, like a lot of these people died before 1965. Um, so by January 1st of 2026, their works are under public domain. Ravindranath Tagore, there is a curious case of Ravindranath Tagore. We'll come to it at the end if we have some time. Just remind me what is the fun fact about Ravindranath Tagore and Indian copyright laws. I am eating away time of my colleague, so I will quickly close this in 5 minutes. So uh, that's about copyright laws and their expiry. This also applies to uh, generally, like all kind of literary works, all dramatic works written, and this also applies to paintings, other plus 60 years. If there is Avanindra Tagore's painting, it is under public domain. I think many painters who are from that generation, if the creator has not specified who is next to hold copyright, what can be done after they passed away? Is it automatically assigned to the family, spouse, or children? Copyright is like any other, how to put it, like any other property. So properties, even if they don't assign, they generally get inherited. It is nothing to do with assigning to someone. People will get family member certificate and then inheritance certificate, and then they inherit all the property, right? Similarly, also naturally, people will get copyrights from their parents, from their forefathers. So who is next in the line, they'll get the copyrights. And many a times, for particularly for very popular people, if there is a high commercial value, family assigns one person as um, attorney, or like a person to deal with. Family assigns one person the whole copyrights, and that person deals with the whole copyright thing and shares the whole money with the rest of the people. That's how things work. Um, yeah, automatically it is getting assigned Bansi Ji. So this is all until 60 years of their death. Uh, but for some uh, creative works like music recording, audio recording, so if it is an audio recording, 60 years from the first publication date, it's not 60 years after the author's death, because like producer is the copyright owner. Some many a times producer can be an entity like newspaper or something. So if it is a cinema 60 years after the creation and first publication, cinemas also uh, come under public domain. For example, Maya Bazaar, a popular Telugu film, is now under public domain. No one needs to take anyone's permission to use it the way that they wanted to use. And also, like Mughal Azam is under public domain now. So, etc. So, this is about 60-year rule. If it is assigned to an organization, if organization owns the copyrights, for example, let us consider there is a old Hindu newspapers. Most of the Hindu newspapers, if not newspapers, like let us consider that like Hindu Hindu editorials written before 1965 are under public domain, because like it is not under a person's name, it is under an organization's name. Organizations generally don't die, right? So 60 years after first publication. So this is how Indian copyright law generally works. I'm now handing this baton over to Giovanna. Giovanna particularly speaks about how licensing works.
Thank you so much, Pavan. Thank you for the invitation to participate in this workshop today. It has been really interesting to hear you speak about the Indian case. As you will see in my presentation, I know a lot about this topic, but not about the specific case of India. So for me, it was very nice to understand this case. And please, if you like, during my presentation or after you have questions about the Indian case, please ask them to Pavan, because I won't be able to answer. But I'm gonna start my presentation now. Let me just.
Sorry, Giovanna. Quickly, I forgot to introduce you, because like I know you very well. I think people knows you very well. Sorry for that. My mistake. Like I'm in flow. So Giovanna works with Wikimedia Foundation, and she is a long-term Wikimedian. She works with content enablement team within Wikimedia Foundation. Particularly with culture and heritage team. Thanks, Giovanna, for joining the call. Yeah, over to you. Sorry very much.
No problem at all. Thank you for the introduction. I'm gonna share now. Please let me know if you can see it. And I hope that you are not seeing my notes, because I have some notes on the background, just for me. Okay. So, as Pavan said, I'm part of the Wikimedia Foundation, which is the nonprofit that runs Wikipedia. And I have been working in this field directly with this topic for 8 years now. Before that, I acted as a journalist and a historian. And I'm also, I have a master's on social history, and I have been researching a lot about collections and data, specifically from museums. But as a volunteer, I have also been very connected with Creative Commons. So I was the chapter lead for Creative Commons Brazil a few years ago. And also before that, even was coordinating some parts of the chapter without being the lead. And I'm still part of the Creative Commons Global Network, and I hold a Creative Commons certificate for open culture, right? And you should go next. Yes. So here today, I will be talking about, well, we already covered what is copyright, so I'll cover more what are the Creative Commons licenses and how it relates to copyright, right? So what is Creative Commons? We have 4 different answers for that question. First is a set of legal tools. Second is a nonprofit organization, which is the organization that kind of runs and kind of organizes the legal tools, which are the licenses, and also the third and fourth options here, which is a global network, which is the network that I mentioned that I am part of, and also the movement that kind of is connected to the licenses, right? And that is always kind of advocating for the licenses, advocating for more open internet, open content. And for example, the Creative Commons Brazil chapter, which I participated in, it is part of this movement that tries to advocate for this set of tools, licenses, and the content that is licensed in that way, right? But today we are talking about the first one here, just the set of legal tools, the set of licenses that are the Creative Commons licenses, right? And so why Creative Commons license exists? So the founders of Creative Commons had identified a mismatch between what technology was enabling and what copyright was restricting. I think from what Pavan presented, you could kind of get from that copyright has, it's in a way to restrict what others can do, right? Because you want to respect what was published, what was created, right? And it's an important legal tool, right? But around 2001 and 2, when the Creative Commons license were created and conceptualized, it was definitely a barrier to what technology and the internet could achieve, right? And so in 2021, the nonprofit was created, and 2001 was, they were created in 2001. The licenses were created, and they came to solve this problem that I just mentioned, that would allow a different type of engagement with online content, especially, but like the way that content was being kind of shared and reused online, right? Creative materials were shared online. And so what technology enables and what copyright restricts? The solution for that mismatch was the set of licenses that would allow a different type of engagement online with creative materials, right? And again, just so that we are on the same page again, copyright is automatically applied to any piece of original work immediately after publication, as Pavan was saying. This is not compatible with the internet that allows sharing remixes and different, more open and collaborative ways of interacting with content at a massive scale. Some people want to do something different. Not everyone wanted copyright to be the way that it was for its creations, or they simply didn't want to provide authorization for every single person that would want to use or share their work, but rather would like a tool that would allow them to allow this to happen in a more automatic way, right? And because of that, the licenses were created. And as Creative Commons puts it, it helps to address the tension between a creator's ability to share digital works globally and what copyright regulates, right? It is a legal alternative to those who wish to allow other people to use their creation following a set of rules, right? Oh yeah, and I won't read this whole quote that I put here on the slide. But as I was saying before, copyright law strictly regulates who is allowed to copy and share and with whom. And the Creative Commons licenses is an alternative to that, right? So like what we can, once we have the copyright, how can we make sure that we open this a little bit so that other people can more freely use and reuse content? And so just so you have like a better kind of idea, copyright, it's all rights reserved, right? And the Creative Commons license, you could say that some rights are reserved, and we will see how that happens. happens, right? So Creative Commons licenses is a way to give agency to the creator to decide if and how others can use their content, okay? One important consideration that Pavan already kind of touched upon is the public domain. So works that are no longer under copyright, anyone is free to copy, change, and share without legal requirement for attribution, right? Some countries, they require attribution even with the public domain, like is the case of Brazil, where I am. This is the case, but usually it's you know, you don't have to do anything, right? And the Creative Commons licenses, they are important in between, right? So from the moment that you publish it, you have copyright, and then depending on the country that you are at, in India 60 years after the person who created has died, in Brazil and in the US, in other countries, it's 70 years. So in that in between, if the person who created, or like the publisher, or like whatever is, you know, the entity that holds the copyright, decided to use a more open license, that would apply in that in between, right? So between the publication and the public domain moment. I don't remember now if Pavan kind of touched on this topic, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating, but the public domain starts on January the 1st, after the year it completed the necessary years for the public domain, right? And there are other possibilities depending on the country as well. So sometimes in some countries, government-related materials, they have a different date, right? And sometimes when you, depending on like the country, again, some specific types of media might have a different date to that. So sometimes in some countries, recordings have a different date to enter the public domain. So you have, what I want to say here is that like it's important for you to research always the country that you are dealing with and the material that you're dealing with, and you know which entity is holding that copyright as well, right? So understanding the Creative Commons licenses. We will have here an overview of important CC license or Creative Commons licenses. We will understand a little bit more how to license or relicense the content under those under the Creative Commons licenses. And before I start, I just want to say that, as you could see in my introduction, my own presentation, I understand more the Creative Commons licenses. I don't understand so much about the other open licenses that we have out there. So I just, in this presentation, it will be a deep dive into Creative Commons, but I just wanted to say that there are some other licenses out there. One of the most famous ones are the ones for software. So the GNU, General Public License, which is the most common is copyleft license. There's also GNU, Lesser General Public License, which is also for software, and it's intended for libraries. There's also like the Mozilla Public License and some others in the field, right? But I think for us today, we will talk more about the Creative Commons license because they are connected to content. So while those others that I just mentioned now are connected to software, these ones are very famous and very known because they are related to content, right? So creative work. To start, I want you to understand that the Creative Commons licenses, they have 3 layers, right? So the first layer is what it contains the terms and conditions of the licenses that are legally enforceable in court. So it's the lawyer readable part of the license, the layer that a lawyer can read, right? The second one is it contains the web pages that lay out the key license terms and summarizes the legal code, is the human readable license, right? And then the third layer it contains the key freedoms and obligations of the license in a machine-readable way, so that applications and search engines can find them, and it follows the Creative Commons rights expression language. Okay, you don't need to know this specifically to use the licenses, but it's good to know how you can find information, right? In order for us to understand the licenses, I think it's important to understand the symbols connected to it. Okay, so we have a few licenses which we will see in the next slide, but these are the symbols that they use. So this one, the first one with this little person there, it's the attribution symbol or by. So every Creative Commons license contains this symbol, which is a condition, right? Attribution. And then you have also this one which has the money sign with something on the front. This is the NC one, which is the non-commercial. Only 3 Creative Commons licenses include this restriction, which does not allow works to be used for commercial purposes, right? We also have this one with the arrow, which is the SA one, which means share alike. Only 2 Creative Commons licenses include this restriction, which does not allow works to be shared in a different license than what the content, the work has originally published, right? And this one with the equal sign is the ND license, which means no derivatives. Only 2 Creative Commons licenses include this restriction, which does not allow users to share adaptations of the work. So you have to share the same way that you found this material, okay? So here we have the licenses. So the first one here, you can see the Creative Commons symbol, which is the CC symbol, right? And you have the little person symbol, which, as I mentioned on the last slide, it means attribution. So it's also called CC BY or CC BY or CC attribution, right? License. So this requires the person who is reusing the file, the work that is using this license, that the creator applied this license. What they are required to do is to attribute the author, right? So once, so if I was using in this presentation an image of someone else that has published that image under a CC BY license, the only thing that I would have to do is to put the name of that person, right? The one who created. The next one is the attribution share alike. So you have the Creative Commons symbol, the little person symbol, which means attribution, and you have the arrow symbol, which is the share alike, right? So once the creator uses this license and someone else is reusing it, it's asking that person to give the attribution and to also share their own work, the work that they are creating using this person's original work, to also be licensed under the same license. So both works, those 2 pieces of work, they would have this same license here. They would be licensed under Creative Commons attribution share alike, okay? The next one is the attribution no commercial. So you can give, you should give attribution, but you cannot use for a commercial purpose, right? The next one is attribution non-commercial share alike. So you have to give attribution, share with the same license, but you cannot have commercial use from this material, right? The next one is the non-attribution no derivatives. So you should give attribution and you cannot do derivative work with it. And then the last one, which is the most restrictive one, you have all the symbols there. So not all the symbols, but almost all the symbols, which is the one that you give attribution, and you ask for no commercial use and no derivatives, right? And it's also important for this whole, field that we are kind of learning here today to understand that Creative Commons also offers public domain mark, right? So it's a CC0, which is like no requirement, and it's equivalent to the public domain. And they also have a public domain mark, which is free of copyright restrictions, right? So those two are very used on collections that are, being that they are like in the public domain. And for example, the museum that has a website and has content like that, they want to make it very clear that this is the case for the content there, right? So again, because I know this is a little bit complicated, the Creative Commons license, the 6 Creative Commons license are part of the copyright. They are legal tools that build on copyright law, and at the same time, they offer a set of options, conditions, and restrictions to guide and order the usage of copyright works so that they can be used openly and freely. They help creators to manage their copyright on terms they choose, right? While the Creative Commons public domain tools, on the other hand, allow creators who want to commit their work to the public domain to do it in an appropriate manner, respecting the copyright rules. In that sense, they also help to label and discover works that are already free of those copyright restrictions. There is the CC legal code, which is equivalent to the public domain, and the proper public domain mark, which marks works that are free of non-copyright restrictions, okay? And as everything, it has some exceptions and limitations. The Creative Commons license works are affected by some limitations and exceptions to copyright, such as fair use and fair dealing. Once the Creative Commons license are legal tools that are built on copyright law. At the same time, the Creative Commons licenses do not restrict in any way or form those same limitations or exceptions, as well as some provisions for people with disabilities, for example. If a person makes usage of a Creative Commons licensed work that is allowed because of an exception or limitation, they do not need to rely on the CC license or follow their conditions, restrictions, or requirements. And now I want you to think, if you have seen a file on the internet using a Creative Commons license, can people maybe open their mics and share with me if they have seen a file on the internet with a Creative Commons license?
Did anyone see such a license icon on internet earlier? Yeah, Shraddha says.
Yes. Okay. So, oh my God, I'm giving a preview of my slides. Just a second. So yes, 100% you have seen it before. You might not know that you have seen this, like the files using this license or seen this, like the symbols, but you definitely have, because they are used in platforms such as YouTube, Flickr, and Wikipedia, right? A lot. All of the files on Wikipedia, they have those licenses. And they have also been used by many artists and cultural institutions such as libraries, museums, and archives to open up their collections. And so here, I just wanted to show you the ones that are allowed on Wikipedia, which is where I work, right? So we allow the most open of those licenses, which is the CC0, which is the public domain one, and also the Creative Commons by, so the Creative Commons attribution. So we ask people to give attribution in some files, some media. And we also have allowed the attribution share alike, so the CC by SA one, which asks people to share on the same license, right? And here on this slide, you can see the oh, I forgot the word for that, but like you can see kind of the different oh, I'm kind of blanking on the word here, but like this is just, we can see here from the most open licenses to the most restrictive license, right? So like the symbol of copyright is at the bottom with all rights reserved. And then you can see in yellow there, those that allow people to just share the content, right? The creation, the work. And then a little bit, you know, above that, you can see in light green, the ones that allows you to remix and share, but nothing else. And then on top, which are the most open licenses, you can see the ones that allow you to have commercial usage of that piece of work, that allows you to remix, and that allows you to share the work, right? So this is also, again, I mark in red the ones that are the only ones that we accept on Wikipedia, right? And I'm already finishing up, but I just wanted to present to you a little bit more a description of what we mean by when we talk about derivative work, right? And some kind of ideas in that specific topic. So I wanted to explain to you the notion of remixes. So a remix is a work that blends materials from different items. It creates an entirely new work based on other people's work, right? And in this combination, there is no way to perceive where the work ends or begins, right? It's a remix. We have also adapted works, which is an adaptation is a work created from another work, but in such a way that it is still original or to be copyrighted. An example of an adapted work is a translation of a book, right? And we also have derivative works. Derivative is a term used to describe changes made to a work, such as adaptations. Therefore, derivative work and adaptation are pretty much the same, okay? In some license considerations for remixes, the indicated is to use the Creative Commons license compatibility charge for those remixes, and afterwards to choose the most restrictive license among the ones adopted. I'm going to show you on the last slide what this means. In adapted derivative work, an adaptation is based on another work, but original enough to be itself copyrighted. Some use, however, will depend on the Creative Commons license applied to the work originally, right? So, for example, once you ask people to use the share alike option, right? So if you do a derivative work and a piece of work that you are using in your new work, it is using originally share alike license, you are required to share with the same license or more open, right? You cannot restrict that work more, okay? So this is the Creative Commons license compatibility charge, also known as the remix charge. It is a helpful way to learn if and how you can mix different works for your own new creation, as well as to select a license for you to use. So you use it in this way. So you would compare the license applied in the works you use. So first on the left column, then on the top. So if in the intersection there is an X, then you cannot mix both works. If there is a green sign there, you can. For your own creation, the most suitable action is to choose the more restrictive license among the works that you are combining and applying it. And the Creative Commons Adapters License Charge is a helpful way to learn if and how you can license your adapted work. So identify the license on the left column, and if the box is green, you may use the license on the top line. The yellow boxes are not recommended by Creative Commons, but may be used. The gray boxes indicate when you cannot use the license. Okay. And I just want to say, to kind of finish up, why are the open license important right now? And I want to just bring this map here that comes from this resource called Open GLAM Survey. GLAM is the acronym for Galleries, Libraries, Archives, and Museums, right? So those institutions, when they go open, when they use license, Creative Commons license, right? Or public domain. And in this survey, which does not encompass at all the organizations out there, all the institutions out there, is just kind of like a cut, so we understand the field a little bit. And they have a total of 1,720 institutions. And as you can see, the institutions that are opening their collections are more on the global minority or global north countries, right? So we have a lot of them in North America and in Europe, but not so much on the rest of the map. And I brought here just the institutions tracked by the survey that are in India. So we have 4. And of course, this is not representative of all the institutions out there, but it is also a way for us to kind of get the temperature of how this is happening, right? And I want to say that this is important because the content on the internet, right? The way that we are consuming content on the internet right now is a lot based on what is available out there. So Wikipedia, which is the kind of the content generator of the internet right now, that are not in kind of closed platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, all of that, they use open licenses, right? And platforms like Wikipedia, we need the content from GLAM institutions because they are a way for us to reference the information that is there and to illustrate the articles that we have, right? So without those collections being opened, it's really difficult to build content in a way that is available for everyone, right? And it specifically is even more difficult when you are not talking about English, right? So we need more content from other languages that are not the major languages out there on the internet, such as like English, German, Portuguese as well, which is my case. And we need those languages to be more available online. And of course, there are some considerations right now with the way that AI is scraping this information, but at the same time, we need those AI systems to be regulated so that we can continue to do the work of making sure that the internet is populated in a way that people can act upon and can reuse and just be more active with the content that we have online, right? And have more representation, right? So it's a very difficult balance, but I just wanted to say how important it is right now for us to continue to have conversations about open licenses and how we can make sure that we are building a better internet and not just a restrictive internet, right, with just AI, okay? And this is the end of my part of the presentation. And here's my contact. Let me just stop sharing.
Thank you, Giovanna. I'd like to continue the rest of the session quickly. So thanks, Giovanna, for explaining about what is why CC license do exist, and what are the different kinds of CC licenses, and what is open license and what is restricted license, etc. This session we also plan to do quickly some kind of show, not just speak about CC licenses, but also show how CC licenses work and how CC licenses matter. If someone wants to, um, just a second, I'll show my screen and discuss about this one by showcasing it. So while we are searching it out, let me set something on my Google. Um, I'll change it to English and quickly search about something that is important for my language. So there is a place called, let's say, uh, Tanjore Saraswati Mahal library. So this is an important shared history for Telugus and a lot of South Indian languages, and we generally check images, right from on Google when we wanted to see how that looks like, etc. So we have a tool here to check usage rights. See, for example, I have a lot of content here, but practically or else technically, I cannot copy anything like just like that and use it in my presentation or whatever I want. Even if I can do it in India generally, because like many people don't care about this, but a lot of people who do care don't use that content. So let me filter it out. So I'm going to tools, usage tools, click on Creative Commons licenses. Just like, see, there is a difference. So I used to get now I'm getting a lot of content here, but all this content, so there are also books that is being shown, various other ways that Saraswati Mahal is shown. But once I filter it out, I get a lot of less content, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 pages, like primarily like 10 images are the only images that I'm getting about Saraswati Mahal. And also, like, this is not primarily what it is. We don't get to know how it looks like. We don't get to know what is inside it, and a lot of details from this, right? Like, it is not being represented in the way that I wanted it to be represented. So, can someone unmute yourself and start speaking about like something that you care for from your cultural perspective? It need not necessarily be a library, or else it can also be a person, a poet from your language, someone who is very recognizable these days. Can someone unmute yourself and just like name?
Shankar Thakur.
Huh? Sorry. Bansi, can you please repeat the spelling? Hello?
It's in the chat.
Name in the chat.
It's in the chat, right? Sorry. Okay. Let me search about the writer. So, Lab Shankar Thakur, sorry if I mispronounce. So there are a lot of images. There are also books, book covers, a lot of content about the person. not a lot, some of the content about the person. So like whoever shared this, like would you say like it is doing at least some justice to the person uh, and the topic?
Yeah, not a lot, but I mean, fair enough.
Some
He's a
justice.
Gujarati, yeah, he's a Gujarati poet, mainly a poet, yeah.
So I'll just change it. There are only two images. Gujarati Vishwakosh relation, some kind of like Gujarati Vishwakosh ka image, where I think he's showcasing Gujarati Vishwakosh. So it is 2019 ka work published by Gujarati Vishwakosh Trust. So that's one image about the person, and the second image is his profile picture. Who published this work? Sanjay Vaidya. Someone in 2004, the person Sanjay Vaidya published the work. Labshankar Thakur at Ahmedabad, 1999. So both of these images are in Wikimedia Commons. So it looks like there are not many images. So someone else can unmute themselves and like give me some name, or else like put it in uh, uh, chat. Meanwhile, I will check something else because like I have seen Baroda. Let me check Baroda. Is like a city. Baroda has some representation here until a point, and let us change it to usage rights to Creative Commons license. It has some representation. So can someone who is from this culture can tell me that like what is missing in this? Hello? Okay, so yeah, someone asked me about Mahashweta Devi, not poet. M. Prabhakar Joshi, author. I'll also check that, ma'am. Okay. Mahashweta Devi, not filtered by Creative Commons licenses. We have multiple images of the person, but I can spot one problem. This is a common issue with many Indian languages. We generally tend to showcase writers in their old age. We never get to know how they used to look like in their younger ages. So that's the same problem that I can see here. That kind of representation problem is there, but still there are a lot of images. And let us change that to Creative Commons. Then Mahasweta Devi image uh, is in Wikimedia Commons. Raman Magsaysay Award. Someone uploaded it in 12th January 2000. Is it possible that way? Like, okay, that picture was taken in 12th January 2000 and uploaded in 2017. So that picture stays. Like another picture. So Mahasweta Devi Memorial. Then this picture was uploaded by someone called Ghazal World. He is a dear friend of mine, and a Wikimedian, a wonderful Wikimedian. So he did a good job. Likewise, there are also like multiple images where someone in a morning of Mahasweta Devi group exhibition. So that's picture by Bishrup Ganguly from Kolkata. Yeah, after that, these are three major images, and then an autograph. And after that, I don't think it is directly relevant to the person. There is no such, there is not much, right? Like, what happens if we don't have such kind of more such kind of images? If we don't have much more images, we cannot use those images primarily. We cannot utilize those images for ourselves in the way that we wanted to. So if you are quickly creating something, you need to violate copyright to use an image, or else if it is in a Wikimedia platform, like if it is a Wikipedia or something, some such kind of global platforms, they don't use that image if it is not public domain. See, like there are not many pictures right here. You can clearly see there are not many pictures here, right? So compare this with someone like someone in the West, um, then you'll get the difference. There are also others who put those messages, right? About Rewa city in Madhya Pradesh, uh, Anchal Patel ji, thank you. Sure, I'll search. Not filtered by if I don't filter Rewa city in Madhya Pradesh, there are some images. I don't think they are good representation of the city. To an extent, it is, but I think there needs to be more content that needs to be available. So I'll change it to creative licenses, Creative Commons licenses. I can see a railway station and then some building, MCU. There is some kind of university, I guess, National University of Journalism, and then a Sainik school. So yeah, there ends the whole thing. There is not much information about it, but let us imagine some kind of uh, so let us think of a city in the West. You can get endless images in CC licenses. There are a lot of images in CC licenses so that someone can use it. These are under CC licenses, right? Uh, it's not the similar case with our languages. Chaturvedi, Makhanlal Chaturvedi ji. So is a poet or else is a writer. I can see some of the pictures. Same problem that I have particularly spoken earlier. You can easily see that there will be only one representation of the person. That representation persists. Only one representation. We cannot see the person in other photo also mostly. So it continues like this most of the cases. That's the problem that any which way is there with our cultural representation. But if you change it to Wikimedia Commons licenses, CC licenses, I don't think there is a lot of content here with respect to CC licenses. So yeah, so that's primarily the situation. Prabhakar Joshi, it continues. Like, I just want to show this. Initially idea was that we will do a breakout rooms and you will figure it out yourself what's happening. Prabhakar Joshi looks like a popular scholar, Akshagana scholar from Karnataka, I guess. So he has a good representation to an extent, visual representation. But when you change it to Creative Commons, there is only one image. And I'll tell you who took that image. It's Pavanaja, so from Karnataka, so one of the major Wikimedians from Karavali Wikimedians user group. So it looks like he took this picture for himself, um, just randomly, like when he met the person. 11th January 2025 he took this picture and uploaded it on August 2025. If Pavanaja doesn't upload this picture to Wikimedia Commons, so then there is no representation of Prabhakar Joshi on internet, particularly in CC licenses. Okay, I just think I made a point with respect to this. Habib Tanvir, uh, just a second. I don't know, Kavita ma'am. Like, you need to check in Wikimedia Commons if they were like deleted by some because of some reason. So Habib Tanvir, good that Habib Tanvir has other representations here. I'm really glad that we can see how he used to look like in an younger day. So, and we will change the license, Creative Commons licenses. There are some pictures, Habib Tanvir's pictures, but very small picture, not no higher resolution available um, for one picture, and then other picture there is some okay resolution. It's not a great resolution, I can say. It's some okay resolution. Sanjay Vaidya uploaded this picture. Yeah, so Sanjay Vaidya is also a Wikimedian who uploaded this picture. Yeah, so this is how it looks like. Wikimedia Commons is one such platform where you can upload some pictures, but there is a catch. Um, Kuldeep, yeah, right. Google results are not 100% representation of entirety of Wikimedia Commons. Uh, so, but it is how world perceives a person, how world perceives a culture, etc. Um, yeah, Giovanna, please. Yeah, go ahead. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, just quickly a comment about that, because I'm not sure what happened in this case here, that some people said that they had uploaded pictures from Habibi Tanvir before. There is always the possibility that it was deleted for some reason, as Pavan mentioned, but not sure if that's the case, if that's what it happened in your case, but it's very important to add all the descriptive information on that file. So like make sure that the name of the person is on the title and description. Sometimes there's also like we haven't, like, this is another topic completely, but on Wikimedia Commons there's also this field, this other tab almost in the file, that it is all the strata data related to the file and the image and the photograph. And so to add that type of information as well, to kind of fit into this kind of structure of the internet, right? Like this ecology of the data, of the, how you find a file, right? To make sure, like, not only the name of the person, but the name of the place where that place is located, like in the city that they are located, in the country that is located. So any kind of piece of information so that it can be better found and that reused, right, is important. Oh, yes, the category is also very important.
Okay. Thank you, Giovanna. Um, so yeah, primarily this is what we want to also showcase. You can continue making these searches, like, and figure out if your dearest of the topics well represented in Google's image search, particularly in CC licenses part of it. Um, and that's one thing that I want to share today. And the second thing, like, if you want to make a difference, you can collaborate with us, you can work with us, and we can collaboratively build something like image repositories. Like, this is what I want to share. We can build image repositories in CC licenses, particularly in open licenses, and put it online. For example, one of our Bahubasa network member Soni Vatwa started working on working on a place called Ulhasnagar, and she started creating a repository on Ulhasnagar. I just want to also showcase that quickly and then go for questions. Sorry, like we took little more time, not little more time, like 15 minutes more than what we are expected to do. Uh, we'll quickly wrap it up. So, so this is the category. She started creating something called Barracks of Ulhasnagar, an oral history of refugee city, with the purpose of to record and preserve oral histories of the community. We would going ahead like we would speak more about such kind of projects, particularly um, in the same space. Like going ahead, like we will also showcase these kind of projects. But what I wanted to showcase today is that like we can make a difference. For example, I'll just show my example. Um, this is my username. User uploads. So these are the images that I uploaded about Vallabhbhai Patel as a chairman of Ahmedabad municipality. I told you like I have this grudging feeling that like we see Vallabhbhai Patel only in one way. Vallabhbhai Patel, just search for Vallabhbhai Patel and internet floods with this only one picture. I don't know what's the whole big deal of showing Vallabhbhai Patel in only one certain age and not in any other age. But Vallabhbhai Patel, as a chairman of Ahmedabad municipality, used to look like this. I don't have a great resolution, but at least I have something. So this is 1922 ka photo. How can I upload? I didn't take this picture, but this is 1924 too. It is public domain. As I told, like it is 60 plus years. After 60 years, like content will be under public domain. I can upload it to Wikimedia Commons under right kind of license. So that's how I started uploading. Like Vallabhbhai Patel as a barrister, Vallabhbhai Patel in 2010. I have this. I told you, like I have this weird idea of like uploading their entire life, uh, childhood, district pleader, etc. I'll figure out a lot of such kind of content and I'll continue uploading it. I'll show you how I used to start. I started in my earlier kind of cases. So I used to take a lot of pictures of various things like um, this is a statue. We see statues, right? Like everywhere. And statue is one way of representation of the person. But at least if you upload the statue of the person that you think needs to be in public domain, you can take a picture and upload it, because like you cannot go back in the time and take a picture of the person. So this is an easy way of representing people of your culture. So yeah, this is primarily the idea that I wanted to also share with all of you. So now I conclude this one and open for more questions. Sorry, Jitsi does this weird thing.
Hi.
So
Yeah. Thank you. It was quite informative, Bansi here. I wanted to take up that question again that I had posted earlier, because we work with a lot of picture story books, and also just books without just have text and very little illustrations. And we also work with a lot of translations. So I am a bit confused as to when I write, and all of our books are under Creative Commons by NCND license, and the illustrations are under copyright. This is by and large the picture. Now, when we are translating, we as a publisher are commissioning the translation. Right. In that case, if I'm mentioning Creative Commons, for like, what does it apply to? Does it apply to the text? Does it apply to the original story? But since the original text is not there, there's a translation. So then, how do I um, mention the Creative Commons license for a translated storybook?
So with respect to translations, there is a I'll primarily speak about how translations and copyrights work. So translation is a way of, in a way, translation is also derivation. You are using someone else's work and deriving it to other form, which is like other language primarily here, which means translation. If I need to translate some work, I need to take permission from the author or else publisher. Primarily here, you are the publisher, you are the author, and you have the sole right to do whatever you wanted to do with the work, right? Primarily, that's the premise here. So, and you are commissioning it to translate to other language, right? Here, act of translation also has its own copyrights. Primarily, this, like, let us consider this as like original work, and then it gets translated to this has copyrights, and you have copyrights, then there is no problem. You can commission that work to translate to other language. Then in the act of translation, the writer in the new language, like for example in Telugu, will be the primary uh, creator of the work. You need to make sure that your contracts primarily speak in a right kind of way. Like if you want to release the content into CC by NCND, then you should make sure that in the contract it is clearly mentioned that this work will be released under CC NCND, and the person should agree to it and sign it. So that's how it works as far as I understand. But I'm not a copyright lawyer, but this is coming from a practice rather than authority. Does that
Oh,
answer?
so um, okay. So if the text is changing, so say I am doing it from English to say Marathi, then the person who has translated in Marathi and who is responsible for the Marathi text will hold the rights for the Marathi text.
Marathi text. Uh, right.
Okay. But in this case, the person who created the work, the author, they will not have any rights.
Then, like, according to the contract, other if other is foregoing rights to your organization, then primarily you will have the rights and you can release it in whatever license you wanted.
Okay. So we do have agreements with the authors
So
where
then,
we take Creative Commons licenses, like we take particular whatever kind of license from them. But the thing is that we also have to specify the languages for which we are taking these rights. So then I do not need to mention the author as the right holder in the book.
yeah, translator, yeah, primarily here, like, the ownership should transfer. Think of it as, again, as an apartment map. If you think of it as an apartment, you will clearly understand what it is. Who owns an apartment, and then it gets transferred to other person based on, like, some kind of, like, you pay some certain amount of money, and apartment is owned by a person, like, right, like a portion of it will be owned by a person, right? Similarly, this will also work in similar terms. Like if you can, uh, just like I'm if you can think of it, uh, that's better way to